Captain Abate hopes to land at the airport in the Comoros Islands. But struggling against the hijackers on the final turn, he loses his bearings and cannot visually locate the runway.
I was within the vicinity of the airport. So I was keeping the airport in my sight all the time. Then through the struggle, I lost my position. I lost where I was.
In the critical seconds it takes to find the airport again, he loses too much altitude and doesn't know if he can make it to a runway. A water landing is now his only option.
He knew that he was going to have to ditch the airplane. He was going to have to put the airplane down in the water. How he was going to do that was now a different plan because he'd never been trained to do that, not with two engines out.
Landing on the ocean is even more dangerous than bringing a plane down on the ground.
If you were trying to crash land on the ground, the airplane would have a surface to slide across. That surface does not exist when you're ditching the airplane in water. The airplane is going to touch down on the water, and then at some point it's going to dig in to that water. When that happens, the airplane's going to try to stop instantly.
In trying to bring his plane down safely, Abate faces unique challenges. Planes such as the DC-9 have flat bottoms which would skim the surface of the ocean on landing, slowing down more smoothly. But the engines on Abate's 767 hang below the body. They could act as enormous scoops, grabbing hold of the water as the rest of the plane plows ahead. The force will tear the jet apart.
It was getting hotter and hotter, so we started to sweat because I guess the air conditioning system was not working since there was no power. And that's when people started to scream, started to panic, looking for life jackets, praying to Jesus, praying to Allah. Some ladies were asking people to go and plead with the hijackers, not realizing that it wouldn't make any difference at this particular time. We didn't have any fuel and that was it, we're going down. But I guess at that time, your hope is all you have.
Descending fairly rapidly. The plane is lurching wildly a couple of times. They're fighting up in the cockpit for the controls.
It's my responsibility. The passengers must know what's going on.
Descend and increase the speed.
It doesn't make any difference. Please. All the same, we're going to die. Please maintain calm. Prepare for an emergency landing. Put on your life jackets, but do not inflate them.
Some passengers either don't hear the captain's instructions or decide to ignore them. They inflate their life jackets.
I heard a pop, 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 pop back in the tourist class. And everybody panicked and inflated their life jackets. I actually got up on my seat and told people, don't inflate your life jackets inside the plane.
At the front of the plane, Mo Amin tries a last-ditch attempt to negotiate with the hijackers.
No! Sit down!
Mo had a desire to dominate every situation he was in. In a situation like that, it would be Mo talking to the hijackers. He would be negotiating with the hijackers. He would be, I'm sure, trying to get the other passengers to face these guys down.
But Amin's efforts have no effect. The hijackers are determined to let the aircraft crash. Then, for the first time since the hijacking began, Captain Abate gets some help.
The controls. I need help. They're too heavy.
We told them, guys, now we are on the last point. You should sit down and fasten your seatbelts. They refused. I never thought I would ditch in my lifetime. I never thought I would lose 2 engines and ditch in the middle of an ocean. I never thought anything would like that happen in my life.
Last few seconds, I remember looking out both sides of the window. I could see water. And then I took the crash landing position. All these things go through your mind. I guess having been brought up in a Christian family, I said my last prayers and said, well, if there is heaven, I hope I get out on the right side of things.
Outside in the window, you could see land at the last minute. And we realized that we were, for the first time, that we were near land, but over water.
I used to love that airplane. We used to call it Zulu. In my heart, I was talking to it. So I said, Zulu, you can make it. Now you should be able to make it. I know you'll make it. You know, I was talking to it.
On the beach, tourists are stunned. The horror of the crash is captured on one of their video cameras. The plane is flying at more than 370 kilometers per hour when it hits the water.
First bump, fairly gentle. And I sort of breathed a sigh of relief. Wow.
As soon as we touched the water, it was quite violent.
Then the second bump was like a 30-mile-an-hour auto accident.
I had a feeling the plane was not going to hold.
The third bump, and I said, uh-oh, I'm dead. I blacked out.
Oh my God! Oh
The ditching was very rough. The aircraft broke apart into 3 pieces.
The cockpit broke off and the tail end broke off, so we started to go down. There was water gushing in on both sides.
Passengers who survived the initial impact struggle to escape from the shattered wreckage. As water pours in, people who've already inflated their life jackets become trapped. The water pushes them towards the ceiling of the plane.
In that kind of panic, people do all sorts of things that maybe are not rational.
The life jackets make it very difficult to swim underwater. Many passengers can't escape the sinking cabin.
The aircraft was full of water. I have no fear of water, having done competitive swimming in school. And I went for my seatbelt, and I couldn't find the buckle. So I moved my hand down to my knee and found it, pulled it open, and I pushed out. And I looked at the back of the aircraft. I could see some light at the end, and I decided to swim out in that direction. As I swam out, one of the passengers trying to get out of the seat grabbed my leg. And I said to myself, oh my God, this can cause me to drown. But I decided not to fight back. And I pulled themselves out and let go of my leg. And then I continued to swim out to the back of the aircraft and swam to the surface. I was really exhausted. I felt very tired. When I looked up, I said, okay, could this be heaven? Because I wasn't really sure whether I was alive or dead.
I was trying to tell the co-pilot to get out. Then he was not there. Then I said, okay, then it's about time for me to go out.
I woke up, I was floating in the water, and I went, hey, I'm alive. I looked for my wife who'd been sitting on my right, and she was gone. My heart sank. And I looked to my left, and she was now on my left. She had swirled around and swapped. We were out floating in the ocean. You can see what looks like an uninhabited cliff. It might be a tropical island. It's like a movie, you know.
When I looked around me, I could see all these people, life jackets and bits and pieces of debris, broken seats, floating bodies.
Odenyo makes his way to a floating pallet of cargo that's burst loose from the plane. He pulls himself on top and waits for rescue.